The ongoing problems at General Motors have hurt the company's reputation and the bottom line. GM has now recalled more cars this year than it sold all of the last 5 years. But what's often overlooked is the human impact of the crisis and recalls. Daniel Ryntjes has been speaking to Laura Christian. Her 16-year-old daughter died when the airbag in her Chevrolet Cobalt failed to deploy.
Again, I'm really glad that I got
Laura
these.
Christian gave up her first daughter for adoption as a baby, but always planned, together with the adoptive mother, for a reunion. That day came in July 2004.
She had the biggest heart. She had so much energy. She was so bubbly, and she was incredibly smart and also incredibly beautiful and very determined.
15-year-old Amber Marie Rose formed a close and loving relationship with her birth mother. But 1 year later, Amber was killed while driving her Chevrolet Cobalt.
We found out that the airbags did not deploy, and the paramedics that responded to Amber's accident told us that had the airbags deployed, that she would have been alive today. She would have been injured, but she would have been alive.
Christian investigated on her own and provided her conclusions to GM, assuming the company would adapt its vehicles to prevent a similar tragedy. But the scale of the problem only became apparent to her when GM issued a recall notice this February. Since finding out that GM's ignition switch problem was known about for at least a decade, Laura Christian has now launched a one-woman campaign to improve safety standards and support families in similar situations across the world. Christian estimates she works some 10 hours a day, updating her GM Recall Survivors Facebook site, bringing together a growing network of grieving families, seeking answers from GM, changes in the law, compensation and criminal charges.
It's not just for Amber that I grieve anymore. It's for all of these families that have reached out, that I talk to, that are struggling to understand what happened to their loved one. And I have to tell them that, you know, if the car was in the accessory position, that there was no way that those airbags were ever going to go off.
GM's chief executive, Mary Barra, has acknowledged that 13 deaths can be directly attributed to the ignition switch problem that's behind the airbag failures. Laura Christian now believes that number to be much higher.
I have documented proof that that number is truly over 100 at this point, and it's still climbing. Very frequently I get calls, emails, people on my Facebook page contact me because they're just discovering that, you know, their son, their daughter, their husband died because of one of these defects. GM knew, GM hid it.
Daniel Ryntjes, CCTV in Harwood, Maryland.